So last year our daughter had her mitrophanol procedure done, and she's 9. She was born with bladder exstrophy. She's had 20 operations now, and 2 years ago she was diagnosed with compromised renal health. One of her kidneys was starting to diminish in function because of a large amount of retention that she had that was constantly being infected with bacteria and viruses. She was also developing bladder stones on a regular basis. So at 7 years old, we were faced with trying to figure out how to resolve these issues and how we could get rid of the 120 mils that were sitting in her bladder constantly. We tried to have one small surgery done that would allow for catheterizing through the urethra, but this wasn't successful due to all of the scar tissue that was around the area. So it was suggested to us 2 years ago that a mitrophanol procedure was available and would something that we should be considering, but at the time she was so little and so sick that we had no one to talk to about it, and it was just something that was too much as a parent to make that decision. Last year she developed more bladder stones and had a number of serious infections. So when we were looking at having to have yet more surgery to have the bladder stones removed, I was trying to remember the name of the surgery that our surgeon had suggested, and all I could remember was that it involved the appendix and it started with M. So I started Googling to find out what this surgery was and how big it was, and try and find some information out about it. We've got a fantastic surge, but you only get 10 minutes in front of your surge, and you don't like to contact them about general information. So what I really needed was someone to talk to who had real life experience with having lived through the procedure, and I could fire questions at randomly in over weeks to try and make this decision about, which essentially when you're a parent is on behalf of somebody else. I think it would have been easier if it had been for myself than making the decision for a young girl. So I found Kyla online, and I was really impressed by this beautiful young woman who spoke so openly about her incontinence and her medical issues, and I was really impressed with the amount of confidence her surgery had enabled her to have. So I sent off an email with the knowledge that one random person in Melbourne contacting somebody in London, my chances of getting a reply were pretty slim. But she contacted me back immediately, and we developed a really close relationship over the next 3 or 4 weeks while I was trying to figure out whether we were doing the right thing for our daughter. And then throughout the surgery and post-surgical care, there was no one in Australia for me to contact, so I was in contact with Kyla a lot on Skype and on the phone and emailing just for support. We had great medical support, we had great nursing support, but at the end of the day you need someone at the end of the phone who can just comfort you, and the only person who can do that is someone who's actually lived through it. So we found that extremely valuable, and through that support and that information we decided to found the mitrophanol support group in Australia and do something similar for people, not just parents in Australia but also others living with severe incontinence and different bladder conditions who for them this surgery might be an answer. And having gone through this surgery, we understand how difficult it is and how much support you need, and we found that of such value that we want to do the same thing for people who live near us.